All right. Well, thank you for joining me, everyone, today. My name is Matthew Timpane, for those of you who have not seen me on here before. So if you are new, I am out of Schaefer's Investment Research. We're based out of Cincinnati, Ohio, and we have now been in the options research business for over 40 years. So probably one of the longest standing option research firms out there. And I'm a senior market strategist over there. I'm also a CMT, so a chartered market technician. And I joined them in 2018 after managing assets for a registered investment advisory firm where we did some active investing and sold the firm and then joined Schaefer's and wanted to dive down this options kind of rabbit hole. So if you have any questions about options, I can gladly answer them. Or if you have any questions about charts, obviously that's what this is for. So please put your tickers in there. Best for me is probably anything that is liquid in the options market, but I do also trade some lower float names. Super penny stocks is probably not my specialty, but I'll do my best for you if you want me to take a look at those as well. But I do trade some lower float stocks that personally, or if sometimes they're optionable, I'll trade them as well. So, all right. So looks like we got one ticker in here so far, and we'll take a look at it. I'm not familiar with ACEL, but let's just take a look. Let's open this up. So it is kind of a $12 stock, AC Excel Entertainment. From my kind of point of view right here, you are sitting very much in a range-bound stock. Uh, Not that it can't break out. It looks like it IPO'd back in 2017, but it's basically been in the super range for a very long time. We are back above the 1-year VPOC, so that's volume point of control. And then we are above what I like to call these kind of launchpad MAs here. And then some of my trend momentum indicators are also above that. The thing with this would be if you want to try it and trade it on the long side, you would probably want to use this kind of year-to-date anchored VWAP as your stop out, so $11. So that's not too bad. You got the volume point of control there, and like I said, all those moving averages. So that would be if you're wanting to go long. You do have this nice little cup here. But when you do reapproach up to about $12.50, anywhere up here, you're gonna start seeing some resistance. You can see exactly why you kind of saw resistance here recently. So, your upside is probably 12.50, $12 here to come back towards it. So you're at 11.76. So $12 really isn't going to get you down on a risk reward basis, but maybe 12.60 using $11. It's really 1.5 to 1 there. That's not a great risk reward. So you are choppy. So I mean, obviously, if you can get a pullback even. That might be better. Trend is kind of right now starting a little bit of a bearish phase, but it can pull out. So that's kind of where I'm with that. I wouldn't probably trade it. I mean, if I was playing options or something, I would look at, maybe more of an iron condor on this. Collect some premium through theta decay. I don't know if it's optionable. I've never played the name, but I would probably set wings at like $13 and $10 then around those levels to try to just capture some premium. Because to me, it's still very much in a big choppy range. Now above 1260 here, 1250, that could be emergence of a brand new trend. So that would be, certainly looking at this as long, and then you kind of have your line in the sand here at $12. So that would be even more bullish. So if you want to kind of wait it out a little bit and make sure this confirms higher, that's how I would look at that. What is your chart setup? So it is TradingView. I do kind of have two little momentum kind of indicators in here. Two of them are based off the Hull moving average, and then this one that is the bars is personal. So we kind of have a overbought plethora of indicators in there, right? So it's a combination of RSI, MACD, things like that. I don't really love using indicators, but I want to see kind of what the charts are doing or what the indicators are doing. So if we have say like 4 of them lined up, we're going to start getting this green here, and that kind of shows you, hey, trend is heading higher. And then once it starts getting into overbought territory, you'll see this pink. and that'll show you that, hey, we're kind of overbought here. And I believe on this one, if it's black, either black or white, I can't remember what it's set at, that would be extremely oversold. So you want to start looking for potential reversion type setups, right? You're going to get a lot of divergences in those indicators, things like that. Again, I don't look at a lot of them. I throw TTM on there as well. And then this is volume down here, and this is up and down volume on it as well. So we're looking at trying to find, is there more buyers and sellers? That's kind of what we want to see. Is there big buy volume here? As you can see, even on this stock, ACEL, you had a lot of buy volume down here where it looked pretty bad, but it was a previous low. People bought it up, and then you got that rip again. And you got a solid, 10% gain out of that rip in about 2 days. All right. So let's go on the next one. Arch. Arch. Is that Arch Cole or Archer? Are we looking at Archer Innovation, or do we want to look at Arch Coal? I don't know. I think Arch Coal, there was something that recently happened to it because I was actually looking for Arch Coal, um, and I couldn't find it anymore. So I don't know if it was bought out or what. But if you're looking for Archer, I know that's been a name that's been being played a lot lately. It goes along with the theme of aviation and space, and I believe it's a drone technology company. But Archer is a name actually I'm kind of watching right here. So this is one of those lower float names that has been hot and has caught my attention. We can go over a few others I have on my list as well. But Archer here, we are sitting below this year-to-date anchored view app level still, and I really kind of want to see it above $9 and what is it, 80 cents, I think, 85 cents roughly. We want to see it above these prior highs. So we want to see it close above that, and we can maybe get another swing in this with a minimum target. You're going to look for about 1250 there. You want to see it go back up to that spike. But I do think, obviously, I think, if the momentum is going to stay in these types of names, 1250 is really not your end in sight. That is where you think you're going to, you might pause a little bit, but we're going to probably break out, right? These are very momentum-based stocks. If we stay below this level, and we break back below $9 here, you really kind of got to watch yourself because these can fade really fast. And the next level for me would be about $7 once we get down there, maybe even $6 on Archer. So if for some reason you break that 50, it's probably $6-7 stock. So that's a pretty big pullback on that. All right, Apple. Apple's a name I was in, almost had a double, then got stopped out. So a little sore on that one. We we bought it back here on this breakout. We were so close to our double to take off, and then we got this pullback. So got out, I don't know, probably somewhere around break even, but definitely a sore spot for one of my swing trades from last year. Apple, for me, I would really want to look for it to kind of be above this level here. So you really want to see it above 235, 236. These prior highs where we saw that breakout, right now we're sitting below it. So you are at risk for a continued breakdown here. You are kind of, hanging out. It's not that wide, it's a 20-point wide range. That's not huge on a stock like Apple. But if you do kind of get a break of these lows, you can easily see a move back here towards 195. Around that round 200 would be a nice area, I think, that you would want to take that gamble of buying that dip. Otherwise, if you want to get long, you want to wait for a break above this 236, these prior highs, get back up, because as you can see here, we moved back up, had a little resistance heading into earnings. You got the big move on earnings, and then it gave it all back, and it wanted to get back below that pivot area. So that's one of the things, you want to watch out for. Once it moves back below that pivot on a big move, that's fairly bearish. Wait for that congestion to kind of clear out. As you can see, markets really, participants are really trying to see where this is going to go. Is it going to go lower? We're below the pivot, or is it going to break it back above that pivot level at 235, 236? So look for that close above that level. That's how I'd set it up on your charts. Neo. All right, Neo. Traded this one a few times, mostly in credit spreads or just as common shares. Not as much in long options because premium is often pretty expensive in this name. But had some good trades in it actually. So, all right. And I try to leave most of my charts pretty clear. These are all from events, so if they're not my typical trading charts, because I want to be able to do some analysis so that you guys can kind of see what we're looking at here live and how you can kind of look and try to place, if you're trying to learn how to chart or anything like that, you can learn how to do it too. All right, so line in the sand for support is $3.68 right now. That's where I'd be looking at this. So yeah, as you can see, I believe this actually was a previous trade here. So, all right, let's go back 1 week quick. Just kind of take a look here. Yeah, so you kind of have, solid support. This is an old previous kind of range area. Um, this is kind of the IPO level there around $4. So, you are kind of stuck below that. Oddly enough, look at what those IPO prices are. You'll notice that you'll get a lot of kind of a pivot around that level. And you can see here, right? You got, the pivot back from there. You had this whole range, right? It acted around this pivot. This was the high from that opening price on the IPO. And then it even just affected, over here. It was topping the candle. You got this fake breakout now back below it. But if you're trading on the daily and you're just looking for a quick trade, $3.68 is your support level. It does look pretty bearish right now. It does look like it could go down and test that level. For me to really want to get long this, you want to see a couple things. I really want to see it get above this 50-day moving average. You also have this 1-year volume point of control that I don't really love that it's sitting above. So it's probably a name I wouldn't necessarily trade right now. Yeah, that's probably not the best way to even look at Neo right now. You could look at it like that, but I'd probably actually drop it down. You're seeing more of a controlled trend here. So if you want to try, you could try 432, but just know that your next level that you really could get stopped out on is 443. So that's not much upside, right? Day trade kind of situation. And then the next move would be up to about 460 there. You have this 100-day moving average, right, with volume point of control. As you can see, the 100-day moving average and the 50-day kind of in confluence, two areas that we've seen that those have been good areas to sell the stock, not buy the stock. So good shorts at those levels. So until those clear, you really don't want to be in Neo. The one area, like I said, you might want to try is if you do get a flush down to 368, you can try it long there. Probably a better short here. Really doesn't fully trigger though until below $4. $4 is where you'll get that nice day or two trade on Neo. All right, MSTR. I don't really have a promo for today. I'll put our phone number in the chat unless somebody hops in and has it. A promo. Just kind of looking at it, but we will get the phone number in there. So you guys, if you want to trade alongside of us, you can. But big thing is we just love sharing our knowledge here as well. All right, so MSTR, it is coiling. This is a name I believe is 2023 was my mid-year pick. That worked out really well for our subscribers and any of those that grabbed that free report that we do. If you held on to it, it was well over a double just through the end of 2023. And if you held through 2024, you saw huge gains. It was a long-term idea. You can see here it's in this big, tight coil. So this is kind of how I would look at it. You really don't want to be playing it until you see the break. Obviously, we have kind of some tailwinds that are built up thematically for crypto, but we haven't seen it play out yet, right? So we think, hey, we got this crypto reserve fund coming. This should be bullish for something like MSTR. It should. It's basically a Bitcoin fund now that is leveraged through selling debt. The business of MicroStrategy itself, I would put on a very low pedestal. I believe it used to be able to cover the interest or whatever on the bonds, but I'm not sure if it still can. I haven't looked into the financials recently, but if you do break lower, through this, you obviously have the 100-day right there, and then you have this gap level. But anything below the round 300 level, you got to start looking at shorts on this. It could really kind of move at least to about this previous gap level. I know it's kind of been filled, but that would be an area that I would look. And then, so around 230, 232. After that, the next level would be about 170. And I believe that kind of goes with these prior highs here, right? So yeah, volume point of control, prior highs were about 185, 190. On the upside, I would wait for this year-to-date anchored VWAP level to be cleared. It lines up nicely with this top rail of the downtrend, or the coil still right now. So for me, it'd be the 350. That's a nice solid round number. A break above that, you're going to see this thing really kind of try to trade quickly up to about 380, 383, and then you're going to get that 400. That's where your first level of kind of resistance is going to start coming up around 400 round number, 405. As you can see, it kind of gets through a little bit, but then constantly pulls back, right? So you can see how it kind of just chopped around that 400 level there. If you get through 400 though, off to the races, plain and simple, you're going to see, 500, 550, you might even see what I've seen in some options. There's some people calling for about $700 out in time in options flow. All right, Cat. Love Cat. Good trader. Volatile name for an industrial. Not on a lot of people's radar, but options traders know this thing can kind of move. Right now, it is kind of range bound. So that would be one thing I'd be a little bit leery, but you are kind of coming into these prior highs here. So not a bad spot. You want to start looking at some long opportunities here. Maybe not today, but it does look like it's probably going to be fleshing something out here in the next few days to maybe a week or so. So see if you kind of get a pull down around 350, 355 there. That could be a spot that you might want to take a defined risk trade against. I know it looks bad under the moving averages and everything, but you got to kind of look. You can see here a lot of times looks bad. Prior support areas, these hold. You might get this flush out, but then you get these quick rebounds back. So look around that area right there around 355, 350 if you kind of get any kind of flush. You might get a surprise kind of little local low there for a trade higher. If you want to wait till you see trend change, you got some time. You're going to really want to look for a pivot back above 373, 375 area here. It's defined by this gap, and you have this local low. And as you can see here, you got multiple points of this. Let's just throw it up. And you can kind of see here, you got the local lows. Every time it kind of gets up here, wants to kind of push back lower. Same here, you get the gap down through it. So 373 is really kind of your pivot there. Prior range, prior low, prior high where you got the gap higher on that. So that would be Cat. So, and then you would only expect to trade really up to about 408, 410 there on that prior high range. So something like that, 408, 409, 407. All right, what indicators are you using? All right, yeah, so went over that. So if you didn't hear, I do use 2 Hull moving averages, and then I just did simple 5, 10, 20, 50, and then I believe that's the 100 I got on there as well. That's the TTM, just kind of looking for trend, not something I run a screen on or anything. This is a volume indicator, again, up, down volume, green bars. Seeing huge volume with a red bar usually is a no touch sign, or looking for a short, or it could be in a chop signal here. But big green up bar, we got buyers coming in, can kind of let you know that, hey, something's going on here, even in names that maybe don't look good. And then this is kind of a momentum indicator that's comprised of multiple momentum indicators. Just kind of gives me a heads up where other traders are really thinking, right? We're seeing, whatever, CCI, MACD, RSI, a few different things in there. They're turning higher. Other traders might be getting on this, looking for the momentum. Time frames, I like to use multiple time frames. I'm for this just using daily here, but as you can see, for me, multiple time frame trader, always looking at the weekly. And then if I'm looking to get into a trade, I'm usually basing that off of a 10 and 30-minute chart, maybe 65-minute chart as well. That I'll just kind of rotate through on this. Then I'll keep my daily up here. We are options traders, so the daily is super important, but you really want to look at weekly time frames as well. One of the biggest things that I'll say is, as you can see here, look at this, pull this back on the weekly on cat. The reason why you're finding lows here and it looks horrible on a daily when you have those daily moving averages still heading lower, and then you're seeing why is this bouncing here all the time? Well, you're seeing it because it's coming from another level. It's coming from these weekly levels here. So this was a weekly high range level where it wasn't able to close above this 350 level, and you can see it just chop, 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 chop. Once it broke up, you got that momentum thrust, and it went right through to new highs, right through that previous weekly high. And then now you kind of got this pullback, chop, 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 another pivot, around that 380 level. And we were talking about this. So a lot of this does come from weekly levels as well. One of the biggest things I've seen trading is, and I'll say this, look for spots on the weekly chart. A lot of people that are just looking at the daily aren't going to notice that. But it's going to tell you, hey, maybe this is actually a good long instead of a short. It looks like a good short on the daily, but looking at the weekly, this is actually a buyable zone, right? So sometimes my best short-term trades, oddly enough, come from a weekly chart because it's a big support level. Everybody's looking at it on the daily, looks horrible. You get long something that kind of looks bad. The momentum isn't there yet. So you're not going to necessarily swing trade it, but you might want to take a couple day trade on it, right? Like a day trade or maybe a short-term swing, couple days. So that's one little piece of advice that I have. All right. Any other ones? DVN. All right. DVN. Let's just pull this back. All right. DVN. All right, earnings are coming up. Kind of has a little bit of a bear flag-ish, not really. But we're back here at this gap. You still got all your moving averages trending lower. Oil has been in a horrible downtrend for a very long time. Um, you know, let's pull this out to the weekly just to see if there's any kind of glimmer of hope here. Why are we bouncing here? So you're seeing it, you had this previous kind of cup pattern, right? This basing pattern on the downtrend, and now you're kind of getting some lows here. So, you know, I wouldn't do this just with a line. A lot of times I like to use a box because honestly, you would want to pull this up higher and you kind of have a little box area that you're seeing a lot of these lows at. And then you kind of saw this move above, back lower. So you can see here, that's why you're probably finding these lows on DVN, even though it does look pretty bad on the daily chart. You do have earnings. Oil is ripping today. Obviously, if you're looking at it from a day trade perspective, this is how I would have looked at it if I wanted to get into it today, or this was something that was on my radar. So say it's been on your radar for a while. You're seeing here, it's a beautiful spot actually for a day trade. So any kind of move, right, on that open, you'd want to be able to get long, and you're going to want to be able to hold this thing, right? So you're going to want to hold it through that 20-day moving average because you might get the pullback. So if you're buying options, you're going to get a big whip. It's going to be like 20% on these. So you got to be able to hold through it, or add through it. But you have this beautiful pivot, right? Multiple lows, then multiple highs, right? And once you got back above that, you got to move higher. Where did it go to? Went back to these previous highs right over here. So that's definitely how you want to trade something like this if you're just trying to get a trade off for the day. And then we'll just pull it back to the daily here. So again, trend is starting to turn up. A lot of divergences, a lot of the indicators are starting to head higher. I would still be a little bit leery. You do have, overall trend kind of heading lower, anchored VWAP. The better trade would maybe be if you want to trade this into earnings above 35.50, close above 35.50. You might be able to get a nice little trade off to, either this kind of 37, 38 level, maybe. Yeah, 37.5 level where you had this island gap lower, right? So you put in this island top and then you got a gap lower. So that would be a logical space if you want to take a couple day trade above 35.50. You might get a trade up to about $38 there. All right, ES and gold, UPS. We got a few minutes here, so we'll try to get through these. ES. E mini futures. All right. So I am still bullish. My first half of 2025, I viewed as bullish. Obviously, that can change. I do think you have a little bit of kind of a basing pattern here, a flag coming here. To get really bullish and long, you really need to see this back through 61.50. Um, as you can see here, it's constantly being, sold against. There is a call wall up there when you look at the options world, and then I'm going to guess even in futures options, that's a call wall, and I think on SPX there's the call wall up there as well in options. So not just SPY, SPX, and then I'm going to guess in futures options it's there as well. So that's one reason why we're seeing this, right? We get this move up there, and then it kind of gets pushed back. So for me, still very much bullish on SPY. We're in a chop here. So tough to take a long-term trade. This 100-day has kind of been a good little signal. So look at the 100-day and about 5,900 as the low end of this trade. And if we break down, I think, through 5,900 there, that's when we can maybe get into trouble and have a little bit more of a correction than we've had recently. So that would be where I'm kind of looking at possible shorts. Gold, because we only got 2 or 3 minutes here. Gold, it is starting to be stretched. Like, let's be honest with ourselves. It can continue to run higher. If you're not in a new long right now, I would wait for a pullback on gold. Get that pullback. Maybe you get it to these prior highs, or maybe you get it to the 20-day. So, but very much in a bullish trend, but you're kind of setting yourself up here. It is a little gappy, but you're setting yourself up here for an island reversal. We do have CPI and PPI coming up. Any good news there could really kind of, on inflation, could really hurt gold. You could get a big flush out. That'd be a good opportunity. Maybe buy close to those previous highs near that 20-day moving average. That would be the spot how I would do it. So if you're not long, for me, I would rather look at maybe a speculative short up here, even though there is some buying momentum. And for me, it would be just a couple day trade on the speculative short. I wouldn't be looking anything longer than maybe a week, just to see if I can get that pull. All right, UPS, 3 minutes. Not even. All right. UPS still very much bearish here. This has been a tough trade, right? Very choppy type of action in UPS. So as you can see, if you have the ability to buy leaps or to be short the stock on margin, that has paid off. Really tough to kind of trade it in the short term. Momentum doesn't really kind of shift that well. You can just see here tons of chop. That was around the 1 year volume point of control. But again, chop, chop, chop. So as an options trader, this is a really tough trade. You might get some movement here if you can re-break these previous lows around 110. Probably expected then to go to about 100. That's a nice round level. But otherwise, for a long, you really don't want to try a long unless you're back above, 120 here. I mean, and it's just a tough stock to be trading. Very choppy. These are things you don't want to look for unless you have a lot of time. And as you can see here, weekly trend, you need a lot of time on the short for it to really work out. And that's about it for me. It looks like.